Myself Ashegla Devi, Assistant Professor in Rovini College of Engineering and Technology. Today we are going to discuss about the subject CS 8392 Object Oriented Programming. In this fifth unit, we have the topics Java, AWT frames and components. So we are going to discuss about Java AWT, that is Abstract Window Toolkit, Abstract Window Toolkit Hierarchy, frames and components. So what is the outcome of the learning this particular module is we can outline the classes present in Java AWT packages and also explain how to add the components to the container and how to use the layout managers. So what is AWT is nothing but Abstract Window Toolkit. So the Abstract Window Toolkit is roughly broken into three categories, that is components, layout managers and graphics. So normally many AWT components have been replaced by the swing components. So it's generally not considered a good idea to mix these components. So either you have to use the AWT components or the swing components. So this is the AWT class hierarchy. So here we have the components. So the main components are containers, buttons, list, checkbox, choice, label and text components. So the text components is again classified into two, that is TextField and TextArea. TextField is used to get the single line input and the TextArea is used to get multi-line input. And the container is further classified into window and panels. Under window we have the subclass called frame. So first we are going to discuss about the component. The component is a superclass of this AWT class. The component class defines the data and methods which are relevant to all the components. So what are the methods we can use in this components are, we can use set bounds, set size, set location, set font, set enabled, set visible, set foreground and set background. Set bound is used to set the boundary value for that, and set size is used to set the size of that component, and location is used to fix the location, and font is used to set the font for the particular component. Enabled is used to whether we have to enable the component or disable the component is decided by using this enable function, and if whether we have to make that component visible or not is decided by using the set visible function. And we can also set the foreground color and the background color by using set foreground and set background function. Next, about the containers. The container is a subclass of the component. The container class defines all the data and methods necessary for managing the group of components. So normally containers are used to manage the group of components. So for a component to be placed on a screen, it must be placed within a container. So what are the methods we can use is we can use add. So add method is used to add the components within the container, and get component function is used to get the component information. Get the maximum size. For getting the minimum size you have to use get max size function and get minimum size function, and you can also get the preferred size by using get preferred function. For removing the components, individual component, you have to use remove function. For removing all the components in the container, you have to use remove all function. And about windows and frames, the window class defines a top level window with no border or menu. So frames defines a top level window with a border and a menu bar. So there is a difference between window and frame. The window is a top level window with no border and no menu bar, but in a frame we have menu bars as well as the borders. So how we can create a frame is, first we have to create the object for the frame. So in this example, frame A frame is the object. So you have to create an object for that frame class. So what is the name of the frame is hello world. And after that you can set the size and you can set the location and you have to set the visibility. So by using set size, set location and set visible function, you can set all those things. And panels. So to manage the complexity of GUI, normally the GUI is broken into several group of components. Each group is generally provided with a unit of functionality. So a panel is a rectangular container whose sole purpose is to hold and manage the components of the GUI. So to manage the components of GUI, this particular panels are used. So the panels also created by using a panel class. Panel, you have to create the object for the panel. So panel object is equal to new panel of. So within the panel you can add the components by using add a function. So you have to give the object name first. So object name dot add of then the component. For example, if you want to add the button means I have to use the object of panel a panel dot add of new button of OK. That means the OK button is added inside that panel. And about the buttons, so if you want to create a push button, you can use button function. So always if you want to create a button function, you have to use button, B capital letter. So for the button you have to create the object. So button object is equal to new button of, within that argument you can give any of the name. If you give OK means it creates a button with the caption of OK. And then you can add that particular button inside the panel. And label, the label is a class component which is used to display a single line of text. So for label you have to create an object. So label is a class, so label, a label is the object equal to new label of, then you have to give the label value. For example, you can give the caption as enter password, so it creates a label with the caption enter password. And the list, so list contain a list of strings which is displayed. You can select any one of the string from that. So for creating a list you have to use a list class. So first create a list by using object for the list class. So list object is equal to new list of, then you have to add the string inside the list. For example, you are going to add some of the values. For example, what are the values you can add? If you are creating a list of vegetables means you have to create like this, the component name, that is the list object dot add of, then you have to give it as brinjal, or you can give the value as drumstick. Like when you can give the values inside that add function. And checkbox, and the checkbox is it's used to create a GUI checkbox with the textual labels. Normally, what is the difference between a checkbox and an option button is, the checkbox, in checkbox we can create more than, or we can choose more than one option, but in an option button we can create only one option. So normally if you want to create an application, in that application if you want to give the field as your area of interest, so a particular person can have more than one area of interest. For that you can create this checkbox field. So for creating a checkbox you have to use the class checkbox. So for this checkbox class you have to create the object. So here we are going to create two checkboxes, cream and sugar. So how we can create is checkbox object is equal to new checkbox of, within that within the quotes you have to give it as cream. Similarly, checkbox sugar checkbox is equal to new checkbox of, within that you have to give sugar. So it creates two checkbox, one with the label cream and another with the label sugar. And choice box, it's similar to the list box, but it creates a drop down button. So in a choice box we can add more number of strings, and along with that we can get a drop down button here, or drop down list here. So for creating a choice we have to use a class choice. First we have to create the component object for that particular component. So choice, a choice is the object equal to new choice of, then you have to add the items. So you have, for adding the items you have to use add function. So what is the components object? A choice. So a choice dot add of, then you within the course you have to give the values which we are going to add. And text field is used to get the single line input. So the class for text field is text field. So first you have to create an object for the text field. Normally in a text field we won't give options, we won't give arguments normally, because normally the text fields are empty. At the time of execution, normally the user gives the value in that. So the normal text, when we are creating a text field, we won't give arguments in the text field container. Next, about the text area. The text area is used to get multiple line of input. So for creating a text area you have to use the class called text area. So then you have to create the object for that and call the constructor.